becoming an engineer actually made me a better tarot reader. I know that's kind of counterintuitive because when most people think of engineering, they think it's the polar opposite of tarot reading. They're like, those two things could not be more different. But actually, the more I studied engineering and read tarot, the more I realized that they're really branches of the same tree. And today I thought I'd talk a little bit about engineering and tarot, but moreover, I'm going to share with you guys the most important thing that I learned about becoming an engineer, that I incorporated it into my tarot practice, that made me a better tarot reader. So when I say engineering and tarot are like two branches of the same tree, I mean, like, as an engineer, I consider myself a professional problem solver. That's what I do. That's what I've been trained to do. I have been designed to solve problems. That's what an engineer does. But our tools that we use are things like math and physics and science and programs. Whereas a tarot reader, we solve problems too. That's when you come to a tarot reader, you ask a question, you're like, I have a problem. But instead of using physics, we use artwork, poetry, our feelings, our intuition, dialogue. The intention is the same, the goal is the same, but the tools and the approach and the methods are very, very different. But there's a lot of things that we can learn from engineering that we can apply to tarot reading to make better use of our tools. And one of those things is a subset, a discipline called systems engineering. And not to get too complicated for this short video, but systems engineering is basically a way of thinking. It's a way of approaching an analytical problem. I would like a simplified way to explain it would be like, problems don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in a system. A system is like a complex environment, right? And when we're trying to understand how we solve a problem within that environment, we need to understand the system. We need to know the influences, the elements, the roles, the dynamics. And when we really develop a good solution, we need to develop a solution that's designed for the system in which our problem lives. One of the famous sayings that gets said a lot in college is, for every solution, there's a problem. And if you're proposing a solution and you don't understand the system in which that problem exists, then you're not going to understand the consequences of your solution. Anyway, not to get too far deep into the academic side of systems engineering, but when I was studying systems engineering, I realized that it's just like a tarot spread. Like, the really, really good tarot spreads are essentially the same framework or a similar framework that we would use to approach problem solving as an engineer. And when I really embraced using a tarot spread in this method from the perspective of a systems engineer, that's when I really saw my tarot readings get a lot better. They really elevated, they really improved, and my clients got more benefit from them. Now, a tarot spread, there's good spreads and there's bad spreads. Just because you use a tarot spread doesn't mean that all of a sudden your reading is going to be great. It really depends on how that spread is designed and modeled. So instead of giving you guys my specific spreads, which I'll make some videos showing you guys the spreads that I've developed. But instead of just giving you spreads, and I thought it would be more helpful to explain to you the methodology, the thinking process behind how a good spread is designed. And it's not just so that we can be better at solving problems, but we can also be better communicators. When we develop a tarot spread, it enables our client or whoever we're reading for to follow the reading better. I've been to a lot of tarot readers in my life because getting a tarot reading is so much fun. But The tarot readers who did not use spreads, they just randomly pulled cards and just talked, I had a hard time following them. They'd be like over here, they'd be over there, they'd be pulling stuff out of like the top of their hat, and I'd be like, I can't follow you, and I'm not really understanding what you're saying, and I didn't get as much value from them, to be honest. Whereas the tarot readers that I went to who did use a spread, they were like, okay, this card represents you. Let me tell you what this means. This card represents your problem. Let me tell you what this means. And as a client, as sitting across the table, as a client, I was able to be like, okay, I'm following, I'm understanding, and now I'm engaged in the reading. Now I'm engaging my own intuition, my own mind. Instead of just being preached at, I'm actually a participant in the reading. So the first thing, if you're going to read for clients, use spreads because it makes you a better communicator. It makes it so that people can follow along what you're doing. It makes sense to them. So the other thing is like, okay, if we're going to take a systems engineering approach to modeling a design, a spread, it's funny, I call it a solutions matrix. A solutions matrix is a tarot spread. In systems engineering, we're taught to go from the top down based off of our requirements. So the first thing that you have to do when you get a client is listen to them. What are the requirements that they are seeking? When they come to you for a reading and they ask a question, what is it that they want to know? Are they seeking healing? Are they wanting information? Are they wanting wisdom? Are they wanting insight? Are they wanting a message? What is it that they are seeking? What is the requirement that we have to give in the reading? Because based off of the requirement, that's kind of like the compass that tells you where you're going to go. Listen to the client. What is it that they are requiring? The next is we want to go top down. We want to start big part of the system, big players, big concepts, and then go down to the details. This is a huge problem that I see, for tarot readers that are maybe like less experienced, is they go right into the detail without ever taking the time to get the bigger concepts out of the way or understand the system, so to speak. Like, for example, if someone comes to you and they say, should I quit my job? And they think it's a simple like yes, no tarot reading. Well, if I told you yes or no without ever understanding the system or the reasons or the dynamics around that question, you're not going to understand it. You might as well take a coin and like toss it. That's not giving you a very good tarot reading. Instead, let's approach it from a systems engineer perspective. I want to know who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, what the dynamics of your job is like. What do you like about that? And what do you not like about it? What are the conflicts that you experience at your job? Are those conflicts solvable or not? Are you even aware of some of the conflicts? Like, are you even conscious of all the things that are going on? Or are some of, do you have blind spots in that area? If you were to act on these solutions, what would be the potential outcomes of that? What would be the potential consequences? If you were to quit your job, what would be the consequences of that? What would be the outcome of that? How would you feel about that? If you were to stay there, same thing. See how I'm going from big level concepts and I'm getting more and more detailed as I go down. So with each question, with each investigation, I'm getting more focused. And because I'm starting from a big concept and going down to more detail, the client is able to follow along with the problem solution train of thought. And, it doesn't matter what you believe when it comes to tarot reading, but simply the exercise of doing this allows you to open your mind and make connections in your mind that you didn't see before. So regardless of what your opinion is about tarot, simply applying this analytical systems engineering methodology to problem solving helps you see and understand the problem more clearly, because you're not just focused on the micro level, but you're actually stepping back to see the system as a whole. And it opens up connections and ideas and possibilities and dynamics in creative thinking that maybe you didn't see before. So if we approach our tarot reading from that, and we design a tarot spread from the top down based off of the requirements of our client, and we go from high level to low level, then the other part of that is, okay, we've investigated our system, our environment, using a tarot spread. Next, what do we do with that information? What are the action items that we're gonna make from this experience, right? What do you wanna do? And what are the possibilities that we can explore, whether they be hypothetical or real? Pulling cards is so powerful when it comes to creative problem solving, because tarot cards are artwork, and our prefrontal cortex, the like analytical part of our brain, thinks in terms of language. And really our subconscious thinks in terms of imagery and dreams and feelings. And our subconscious, that part of the brain, is actually a lot more creative and a lot more intelligent in terms of problem solving than our prefrontal cortex, than the analytical part of our brain. Basically, what I'm trying to say is words are limiting. That's why math is so freaking beautiful. Like, oh my God, I could go on a separate tangent about how math is poetry incarnate, like physics is music. That's like a whole other thing. But what makes math so powerful and so beautiful is that it bypasses language. It's like it's its own language because it bypasses the restrictions that English puts on our concept of reality. Tarot does the same thing, but it uses artwork. So if I hold up a work of art to a client and they look at that artwork and they let their subconscious come to the forefront when it comes to connections, insight, problem solving, all of that stuff, the solution is going to be so much more apparent, but it might come up to them as a feeling. It might feel like a resonation, like they're resonating with something because they don't have the words for it, because maybe our English language doesn't have the text to see that solution or to see that insight. That's why I think tarot is so powerful when it comes to being a problem solver. And when we approach it from a systems engineer standpoint, it allows us to have a methodology, a method where we guide the client through a structured process that allows their subconscious to bypass normal language models and create new connections in their brain that facilitate like hypersonic solution building. Okay, I'm not very good with words, but that is probably my favorite part about being a tarot reader. People come to me with problems at the beginning of a tarot session. Their anxiety is like way up here, way through the roof. And then just applying the principles of systems engineering through a structured framework of a tarot spread, going from big concepts to more detailed concepts, using artwork, light bulbs come on, inspiration strikes, intuition solves the problem for you. A lot of times, like me as a tarot reader, I'm not telling people what to think or how to do things. I'm simply like guiding the story, prompting the way, and they are coming to the insights themselves. They're doing the healing themselves. And that's what's so powerful and so cool. That's kind of the magic of tarot. So in short, because I don't want this video to be too long, but please, if you're not using a tarot spread, I would really encourage you to use a spread. And when you're trying to either design a spread for yourself or choose one, ask if it fits if it fits a systems engineering framework. Like, does this go from big concepts to little or more detailed? Does it fit the requirements of what I'm looking for? And does it empower me? Does it give me action items? Does it give me solutions? Or is there a way that I can find useful information from this spread? So like a very popular spread that I see almost everywhere that is totally useless is the past, present, future. It's useless. It's useless because it doesn't tell us the system in which our problem exists. It doesn't tell us any meaningful information about the behavior or the consequences or the outcomes or the influences, whatever, of the environment in which we're looking to analyze. Past, present, future. Past of what? Past like yesterday or past like 5 years ago? Present now or present for me or present for other people? Like it lacks context. It lacks specificity. It lacks flow. It doesn't tell a story, and it doesn't help me understand a problem. So I think in closing, when it comes to doing a tarot spread, I would encourage you not to feel restricted about feeling like, card 1 has to mean this and card 2 has to mean this. But try to think of spreads as more of like a structure in which we follow the structure to provide a framework for our tarot reading. And not just a framework for you as the reader, but also for the person that you're reading to. The other really great thing about using a tarot spread is that it keeps you honest. When you, kind of predetermine like the next card is going to represent, how my relationship will end, and you turn a card and let's say it's something negative or it's something that you did not want, because you already designated this as like, this is what this means, it prevents you from manipulating the reading. It prevents you from incorporating bias into the reading. So it reduces bias, it enhances communication, it makes systematic problem solving better. And, I know I'm trying to talk about like a whole 4 years of, discipline in a 20-minute video. But if you're interested in studying systems engineering, I would highly encourage you to do so and take some of those modeled practices and incorporate them into your tarot reading. I think you'll find that it's much more impactful and powerful. I know for me, like, because I read for a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life, I don't try to tell my clients what to believe or not to believe, but I let the experience of getting a tarot reading speak for itself. And when we follow those framework, the feedback that I get from clients is that the experience is quite powerful and effective. And I got that from engineering studies. So that's all I have to share with you guys for today. I will make another video showing you guys like an example of, a theoretical client and then an example of a spread that I use and why. And maybe I'm trying to think about what would be the best way to model this for you guys so you could see what I'm saying like as an example. I think I'll just do an example reading and show you guys how I apply systems engineering framework into a tarot spread. It's cool to see it in action because it'll make a lot more sense. But for now, I thought I would just share that with you guys. Being an engineer made me a better tarot reader. And engineering and tarot reading are a lot more similar than people think. Anyway, take care.